Help! My device is frozen. Hello and welcome to iPhone Black and White Troubleshooting, where we figure out what's going wrong with your device and get you fixed up as quickly as possible. In this video, we are going to be looking at what to do when your device is frozen or unresponsive. And it's actually, a lot of people tend to think that if your device is frozen, it's kind of an indicator of bigger problems. Not necessarily. There's a couple reasons why it could be happening. Some of the more severe reasons could be that the logic board is basically going bad. But odds are, if that were happening, you would be having a whole host of other problems. So if you're somebody who just all of a sudden randomly, like, the device is frozen, you're probably going to be okay. It's probably not too much to worry about. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just see what it is that you need to do. Okay, so why is the device frozen? Well, like I just said a moment ago, it could be an indicator of a bigger problem. But the truth is, the most common cause of why a device would get frozen is actually just because you're probably somebody who never turns off your device. That usually is the most common cause. So think of it this way. You don't ever have to turn off your car. You can let it run in the driveway or the garage. You don't have to turn it off. You're just not doing the car any favors by never turning it off. It is the same reason with your devices. You need to get into the habit of turning them off occasionally, because you got to remember that these are small computers. And these computers are not designed to never shut off. They're designed to basically run for a really long time. But with all the code and everything that's running your little computer there, a lot of times you can just get a hiccup or a glitch, and it can cause a problem. And then all of a sudden, the device just kind of freaks out and just freezes itself. That's usually the most common type of why a device will get frozen. And so it's really not too much to worry about, at least to start with. So the first thing that you would need to do to actually just try to fix this is actually really simple. Just try turning off the device. Just turn it off. If you're not sure how to turn it off, it depends on what your device is. You can actually just look that up on the internet. I'm not going to try to link every article up to like how to turn off a device, but if you're not sure, it's pretty easy to basically figure out. And just try doing it that way. Try to just get the device turned off, leave it off for like 60 seconds, and then turn it back on. Hopefully that would fix it. There's a chance, though, that even if you are able to turn it off and you turn it back on, it basically does just get stuck on the Apple logo again, for example. If that happens again, it's still not time to panic. What we're going to end up doing is we're actually just going to go ahead and install a brand new operating system on the device, and it's much easier than you think. It's nothing to panic over. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what we need to do in order to install a new operating system. All right, so in order to do this, we have to have a checklist of the things that we're going to have. So number one, you're going to have your frozen device, obviously. Secondly, you are going to have a cable. Now, this needs to be an Apple charging cable. Do not use a third-party cable. If that's all that you've got, this may not work. And it may not work, which doesn't mean you can't try it again later, but you really need to use an Apple cable because, and I'll discuss that more here in a little bit, but try to get an Apple cable in order to get this done. And then the third thing that you're going to need is a computer. Now, it has to be a computer. It cannot be a tablet. It can't be something like a Chromebook. It needs to be either like a Mac computer, or it needs to be a Windows computer. that is able to run iTunes. So those are the things that you have to have in order to do the next steps if turning off the device and turning it back on did not fix it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to do now that we know what we have to have. Okay, so the article we're looking at is from support.apple.com. If your phone won't turn on or is frozen. So if your phone has a frozen screen, doesn't respond, or becomes stuck when you turn it on, learn what to do. And guys, the steps here are actually really simple. So this is actually very similar to when somebody has a disabled device. It's somewhat of the same steps, but it's a little bit different. So I'm not going to reference that other article. We're just going to stick with this one because I actually think the steps here are a little bit easier. Technically, there's two ways to get to the recovery screen. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of scroll down here and show you. All right, so this screen right here, this image that you're seeing, and I made it bigger over here, this is the image that you are trying to get to. Now, this image is going to show up on the computer. It is not going to show up on the phone. We need this image to show up on the computer. Okay, so we're going to kind of start back up here at the beginning. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and plug your device into a Windows computer, if that's what you've got. If you do that, then you need to make sure that you go ahead and you get iTunes. You need to have iTunes open. Go ahead and make sure it's open. And real quick, just make sure two things. Number one, you want to click on the word help, and you want to see if it says check for updates. If it says check for updates, then you go ahead and click on that. What that will do is it will install the latest version of iTunes, because you need the latest version of iTunes in order to make this work. So if that's you. Now, if you're using a Mac computer and using Finder, don't worry about any of this. This is just for Windows people. So, or an older version of Mac. So if you're using a Mac computer with Catalina or later, then you're just using Finder. If it's before Catalina, you would use iTunes as well. So anyone using iTunes, just click on help, look to see if it says check for updates. If it doesn't, that means you're running the latest version of iTunes, so no big deal. Then the second thing, now this is incredibly important. Click on account and make sure that you do not see an Apple ID listed here, okay? Even if it's your Apple ID, make sure that if you see it, any ID listed here, you want it to say sign in. That's what you want it to say, because there's a chance that you could screw up really badly here. And what you could end up doing is when you plug in your phone and you reset it, you're gonna end up syncing it with iTunes, which you do not want to do. Because especially if this is somebody else's computer, you don't want to sync your phone up with their computer, because you're going to put their ID on your phone. You're going to end up like probably deleting a bunch of their music and other things. Like, it'll be a nightmare. So I'm stressing this. Make sure that you click on account and you just see where it says sign in. Okay, super important. All right, so we've got iTunes open. We plug in our phone. Now, most people, the most common phones nowadays is going to be an 8 or later. So an 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are what's out right now. That's the majority of phones. So as you can see here, and I'm going to stress something. So your steps are actually really easy. So plug the phone into the computer, have iTunes open, and then you can see the little arrows here. It's showing you what to do. You're going to press and quickly release the volume up button, press and quickly release the volume down button, and then pay attention. Do you see how long this blue arrow is showing up here? So it's volume up the arrow, volume down the arrow, then press and hold. Hold the side button. Hold. Guys, press and hold. Do not let go of that button. Here's what's going to happen. As long as you follow these steps exactly the way it says to do it, and as long as you keep holding that button, eventually this screen will show up on the computer. But there's a thing that people keep doing. They keep screwing up. And here's what they screw up. What they'll do is they'll press and quickly release volume up, volume down, then they'll hold the side button, and then all of a sudden the phone, it'll start to flash. And then the phone will go dark. And then the Apple logo will show back up on the phone. And the person who's doing these steps will watch this happen because they're looking at the phone, and they'll say to themselves, oh, okay, well, the phone's restarting, so I can let go of the button now. No, you fool. Do not let go of that button. Keep holding that button until this screen shows up. It'll be right smack dab in the middle of iTunes. This is where it will show up. We need that screen to show up in the middle of iTunes. Then you can let go of that button. Do not let go until that screen shows up. And if it's been like 20 or 30 seconds and nothing's showing up, it's no big deal. Just let go and then do the steps again. Volume up, volume down, hold the side button. Don't let go of that button. And this article also shows you other phones to use. And I will link all these articles to the video here. Now, once we get down to this screen, this is where, or when this screen shows up, this is where it gets there's a couple things that can go wrong, but odds are it'll be okay. So when this screen shows up, you're going to be given two choices, update or restore. If the only thing that's happened is your phone is basically frozen, then you have the ability to click update. What that would do is it would then, the computer would actually contact the Apple server, and it would download the latest version of the operating system for your device, whether it's an iPhone or an iPad. It'll download the latest version. Then what it'll do is it'll contact the phone and it will try to upload. So the computer will then, download the operating system, and then it will try to upload the operating system onto the phone. If everything goes according to plan, then all you need to do is click update, wait like 10, 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden your phone will start working again, and hey, you're good to go. No big deal. But there's a chance that all of a sudden you'll click update, and then after so many minutes, all of a sudden you get one of two error messages. One error message is bad, the other one's not so bad. So there's a chance that you'll get an error message, and the not bad one will show up and it'll say like, hey, something went wrong, this has timed out, blah, blah, blah. And basically what it's telling you to do is, hey, do the steps again. Here's what happened. By default, you really only have about 15 minutes to do this process. So what will happen sometimes is the computer will download the operating system, and it will just take longer than it's supposed to take. And so then when it tries to delete and then reinstall the operating system on your device, it'll go over that 15 minutes. And so basically what it's saying to you is, hey, we ran over the time limit, do the steps again. So no big deal. Just start the steps over, and the difference this time is now the computer knows we don't need to contact the Apple servers. We already downloaded the software, so let's just go ahead and remove the operating system and install the operating system on the device, and then it should work. So that's the error message that's, bad, but it's not that bad. It's just more annoying than anything else. But there's a chance that instead you're going to get an error message that says your device cannot be updated. If that happens, at that point, you do not have a choice. You have to do the same steps, but this time you're going to click restore. When you do this, this is now going to erase your device. Now, that sounds tragic, but as long as you were making backups of your device to the iCloud, it's no problem, it's no worries. Don't worry about it, because you're going to be able to get right back and get everything right back onto the phone. It's not a big ordeal. If you're somebody who is not making backups, or you're making backups from your computer, Okay, well, that's not that bad because you would still be able to set up the phone, and then you could set it up again once you can get back into the device and restore from a backup from the computer. But if you're somebody who has never made a backup, guys, there's nothing you can do at that point. If you can't retrieve what doesn't exist, so you don't have a choice. So if you get the error message that says your device cannot be updated, you're going to click restore and you're going to erase your device and then cross your fingers, because if you're someone who doesn't make a backup, hopefully you still have things that will be in the iCloud that you will be able just to go ahead and to download. And all you're going to do is just basically sign back into the phone, and then anything that's in the iCloud will download right back onto the device. And remember as well, if you're in that kind of a situation, as soon as you get back into the phone, you're going to sign back in with the same Apple ID. Hopefully that's the same ID that you were using in the App Store. So as long as it's the same ID in the App Store, the phone's going to remember, basically, like the iCloud will remember who you are. So you'll be able to download all of your apps again. Your apps will remember who you are. So it's not nearly as tragic as I might be making it out to be, but it's definitely the more painful of the error messages. So at the end of the day, it's, one way or the other. Frozen devices typically, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's probably just the fact that you haven't turned off the device. Definitely get into that habit, guys. Turn off your device every couple days for at least like 20 minutes. Give your device an opportunity to restart itself, start the processes fresh, and you will basically avoid some of these issues. Hopefully it's not a logic board issue. If it's a logic board issue, then basically your device is toast and there is nothing that can be done to fix it. Time to get a new iPhone at that point. All right, the last thing that I just want to reference here is the error messages that you could encounter. If you get an error message when you're trying to do all of these things, there's a chance you'll get an error message that pops up with like a different code or a number. I'll be honest, I'm going to go ahead and link this here, but the most common problem that people run into when they're trying to do these steps is they are not using an Apple cable. If you are not using an Apple cable, then there's a good chance that that cable is not calibrated to work to transfer data between the computer and the phone. It might be enough of a cable to charge the phone, but it's not a cable designed to transfer information. So if you are someone who is encountering some of these issues, I think 14 is the most common one. Yeah, it's basically, it gets stuck at the Apple logo, restart your device, blah, blah, blah. That is a common one that people will run into. Definitely, if you don't have an Apple cable, get an Apple cable and try these steps again, and hopefully that will fix your issue. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that this was helpful, and the truth is, this entire process of encountering this issue and then trying to get it fixed really should take less than an hour. That includes watching this video. So go ahead, watch it again if you need to, get your computer, make sure that you follow the steps here. And it's just really, really important that you just want to make sure that you follow kind of my warnings there about making sure that you're signing out of iTunes in case you're using a computer that someone is already signed in. It will be a nightmare scenario if that happens, dear Lord. Please make sure you sign out. So, alrighty guys, if you found this to be helpful, don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, come on back, learn how to become an iPhone expert. Don't forget, send this video to your friends and family so I can turn them into experts as well. Alrighty guys, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.